Mr. Cotton is my dad.
And then this was in there too. I just
You know I was kidding.
I had to double check the math. I don't know if it's 100% right. That's just
waiting for the challenge to come.
No.
I
I think we're on the same set of script there.
Hey,
I'll
take the arrows.
Yeah, no, I saw you and I knew you, so I wanted to say hi.
Met your counterpart at Richmond last night.
Chris?
You guys won.
Real nice guy. And
it's that time.
With guy, which is liaison to conservation to get those, because he's really pissed at conservation.
Okay, who's turn on the
They're taking land and, he's got to deliver
recorder's on?
services and like, give me a break.
Okay.
And plus that barn.
If I may, Carl, I don't mean to
I know, shut up.
throw you aside.
I got it.
Okay, it is 7 o'clock. I'd like to call the regular Mchenry Township meeting to order for July 13th. If you'll join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen. Okay, if the clerk would call the roll, please.
Supervisor Barlow.
I am here twice tonight. Actually, just once in this meeting.
Shavers.
Yes.
Yeager.
Yes.
Credo.
Here.
Bendenagle. Bendenagle absent.
Okay, so we've called the roll. Public comment, I see we have two folks. Robert Beltran. It's on. No, it's not. I thought it was. I thought I heard it move when you shuffled it. Now it's out.
Okay, Robert Beltran, 2020 Regner Road.
2814.
What?
2814.
I'm sorry.
We don't need your
I'm thinking 2920 because
Robert.
I was just showing my rental, which is 2920. So I got that in my brain.
Don't put your address, just the city. Just your name and the city.
Okay, sorry.
Just me.
Okay, I retract my address. I wanted to reiterate my support for restoring the salaries of the township officials. I've mentioned that at least a dozen times over the past few years, so you have my full support if you want to go forward with that. But I also wanted to mention the other issue that's affecting township residents, which is the pit that's proposed for the area between 140 and Lincoln Road, east of Chapel Hill. And I don't know if the township wants to take a position on it with the city or the county or whatever, but the thing is that the people being impacted are the people in the township who are not in the city. And so it's a kind of a wipeout and windfalls situation where the people getting the windfall are the city because they get the taxes and the fees from the development of it. The people who get the dust, noise, vibration, potential loss of water from their wells or contamination of their wells are the people who are adjacent to the pit and they're not in the city. And of course, the people in the city who are impacted, there's a few of them who live close, but very few live really close to the pit. But anybody who has children going to one of those schools, the Hilltop or the middle school, is also impacted. So the township is the only entity, I think, that's in a position to take a position that would support those who feel threatened by it. So that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Beltran. Judith Gottlieb.
Judy? Judy,
Yeah,
don't hold the mic too close.
okay. Judy Gottlieb, I'm in Mchenry Township.
There you go.
First, I want to say thank you so much, Mark Yeager, for your harmonica class. It's awesome. Secondly, I want to second the, yes, get the official salaries back up where they should be, and for that matter, you should do a 1 or 2% increase for every year that they got cut in half. That's what I think. You know, cost of living has gone up over the last 4 years. Third, about the pit. I don't know how many of you know this, but I trained as a hydrogeologist. I was very close to having a master's degree in hydro when I switched over into the Department of Civil Engineering. There certainly are a lot of wells in close proximity to that pit, and it is considered to be high potential for contamination of groundwater. Now, I know they're saying that it's going to be all inward flowing, and that may be or that may not be. I can understand why people are concerned. I'm not jumping on the alarm wagon, but I can assure you that if all of those people were city residents, the city would not be doing this. In other words, if it was in the middle of Mchenry, the city of Mchenry, you can believe there would not be a pit, because the citizens wouldn't stand for it. So, again, if the township can say anything at all, it would be appreciated, I'm sure.
How do I turn it off now?
Push the gray button.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else who would care to speak?
Mr. Barlow, I
If
didn't
you
sign.
address the
Sure.
podium for formal reasons.
No problem. Carl Kaminsky, County Board, Johnsburg. Just an update on our bridge in Johnsburg. Within the next week, we should be getting the date of when they're going to open it. It's been completed ahead of schedule, and it's ready to rock. They're just going through the punch list to make sure the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. But within the next week, we're going to have that road open so we can start getting our merchants and citizens to do their shopping without having to go south or north to get there. So just wanted to pass on that little bit of news to you.
One question.
Sure.
Guardrails are up, the street is striped. Are we waiting for an inspection?
They're going through their punch list to make sure like I said, the I's are dotted, T's are crossed, and they're on top of it, but in general, they're ahead of schedule from what was predicted to take. So good job for our transportation on Mchenry.
Looks great.
Yeah, I think everyone looks good. Okay, with no other public comment, we'll move on to the approval of the McHenry Township regular meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of
June 8th.
June 8th.
June 8th, from the regular meeting of June 8th.
We need a second.
I'll second.
All those in favor, say aye, or excuse me, any discussion regarding the meeting minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor of the meeting minutes say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, no opposed, motion passes. We move on. Okay. Number 4, motion approval for the town fund. Yeah.
All right, we, the undersigned members of the Mchenry Township Board of Trustees, certify that we have this 13th day of July 2023 examined and audited the amounts due for the items specified in the claims attached and hereby authorize payments of same. Total reimbursements to be approved, $224.96. Total bills to be approved, $25,695.85. Total bills paid prior to audit, $58,196.27. Total to be approved, $84,117.08. Total receipts, $20,467.20. So, make a motion for approval of the receipts.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Will the clerk call the roll, please?
Supervisor Barlow.
Yes.
Trustees Shaver,
Yes.
Yeager,
Yes.
Macrino.
Yes.
All ayes, motion carries.
Motion for approval of receipts and bills, general road and bridge.
We, the undersigned members of the McHenry Township Board of Trustees, certify that we have this 13th day of July 2023 examined and audited amounts due for the items specified in the claims attached and hereby authorize payments of same. Total reimbursements to be approved, 0. Total bills to be approved, $22,490.26. Total bills paid prior to audit, $18,850.83. Total to be approved, $41,341.09. Total receipts, $44,915.91. I make a motion that we approve and pay these bills.
I'll second the motion to approve the bills.
Okay. Will the clerk call the roll?
Supervisor Barlow.
Yes.
Trustees Shaver,
Yes.
Yeager,
Yes.
Macrino.
Yes.
All ayes, motion carries.
And permanent hard road.
I make a motion to go through. We, the undersigned members of the McHenry Township Board of Trustees, certify that we have this 13th day of July 2023 examined and audited amounts due for the items specified in the claims attached and hereby authorize payment of the same. Total reimbursements to be approved, none. Total bills to be approved, $62,343.24. Total bills paid prior to audit, $28,206.16. Total to be approved is $90,549.40. Total receipts, $2,608.92. Make a motion to approve.
And pay the bills.
Do I have a motion to approve pay the bills?
We need a second?
Second.
Mr. Yeager, will the clerk call the roll, please?
Supervisor Barlow.
Yes.
Trustees Shaver,
Yes.
Yeager,
Yes.
Macrino.
Yes.
All ayes, motion carries.
Item number 7 on here is the fund transfer. We do not have any fund transfers this evening. The next item on the list is number 8 under new business is the approval of the decennial committee appointments, discussion and possible action. I'll make a motion. The reason that this is on here, first of all, well, I'll make a motion for discussion and possible action. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Based on the way that the information is written in the law, our attorney advised that I get an approval from the board based on the committee members that were appointed. There's some more verbiage in there with the advice and consent of the board. So with that, I'd like to make a motion to approve Mr. Ray Minlick Jr., Mr. Jeff Buff, and Mr. Thomas Sikorsky as the committee members on that decennial report.
I just had one question.
Sure.
What was the mechanism on which those 3 individuals were decided to be part of the committee?
Interested and willing to work for free.
Okay, are they, I mean,
They all live in the township, they don't live in any of the cities.
Okay.
They're all township residents. That was kind of what I was looking for versus people that lived in Johnsburg, Mchenry, and Wonder Lake.
Yeah.
But it was open to finding anybody. It's been on the radar, and they were the ones that stepped forward and said, I'll work with you, so.
Oh, okay.
That's-
So we put something out saying, hey.
I didn't put anything out, no, it was word of mouth.
I personally would have thought that we would have asked some of the people who are all part of the committee that helped save the township, because we're very familiar with the whole process. Not that I have a problem with these 3 folks that you suggested. I'm just giving my opinion that Robert was on that committee. We have Mike Taller, Sue Rose. Personally, I would have liked to invite one of them. I don't know if we can add to the committee or not. But they have all the input, the insight, because we went through this whole project 2 years ago. It was part of the whole thought process.
Sure.
Just my comment, you know, just throwing it out there. Not that I have a problem with the 3 people at all.
I guess I'll call for the motion.
No, we already have a motion.
Yeah, but I need to
Yeah, it was
vote.
just part of
So all in favor of the 3 appointees, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you. Old business, discussion of 9.1. So I'll let Adam make the motion and we'll go from there.
So I'll make a motion to discuss item 9.1, the RC track, and possible discussion, and provide an update.
I'll second the motion.
So I am talking with 2 or 3 different manufacturers. One of them has been known to provide RC car kits, tools, batteries, chargers to groups that are hosting like summer camps or something where, you know, we could find a way to determine, you know, specific number of kids or people within the township to come and like learn to build them and run them and how they work. So that manufacturer is kind of waiting until they see how we want to structure the program. They prefer to have some sort of program in place. So I'm writing some descriptions for that. Another manufacturer that has expressed interest in possibly funding the track itself. So funds to grade and create a dirt track on some piece of property, but looking for alignment on ability to get funds there before I explore the process within the township to locate an actual spot, because we need to know how big it's going to be first. So continuing to get information, but no final update yet. So I would make a motion to table it until the next meeting as well.
I do have a couple questions.
Sure.
Does it matter if we put it in floodplain? In other words, if it gets underwater and muddy?
It would be ideal if it was not, because if we spend time to grade and create the jumps and the different spots, ultimately it'll be 100% dirt with like corrugated plastic pipe that forms the exterior perimeter and like the inside of the route.
So no mud.
So if it flooded, it would just, it could be in an area very close to it.
Well, because the back end back here, we've got a bunch of property back there.
Yeah.
It's in the floodplain. It very rarely floods though, right, Jim? Back there?
You mean down there?
Yeah, I'd point, yeah, down there, right.
At the end, outside the baseball
It's
field?
pretty wet.
Yes.
That's where everything drains today.
Yeah.
It gets pretty wet.
Does it?
So it's a question of whether you want it muddy or not.
Okay, well, that's why I asked it. That's why I
Yeah,
asked.
muddy would not be ideal. Dry dirt.
No, so you should do it on clean aggregate soil.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not floodplain, which is alluvial,
And do we have someone willing to run it?
I would be happy to run it. I was assuming that sort of it was my pet project, and so like my plan, very high level, is first get the track. We host some sort of like summer series of classes where I will come here, one Saturday or one Sunday every month and like meet with the people to sort of teach. And then, when the weather gets nice, then we go outside and start racing like once a week or something. But I would assume, I'll run it.
How much square footage are we talking?
So that specifically depends on the scale of the vehicle that we hope to run. The normal one.
Well, ideally, what do you?
Yeah, like 40, 50 feet by like 100 feet.
Okay.
Is about the footprint.
I'm not trying to limit it, I'm just asking a question.
Yeah, about half the size of this room, probably on average.
Very good.
Supervisor Rowland?
Yes.
Can I be recognized?
Yes.
I just have one question. What I would hate to see you do is to move into competition with a private sector that's already providing a similar service. So do you know, is there anybody in Mchenry Township or the surrounding townships that provide a similar service? Obviously, we're not here to compete with the private sector. We want to support the private sector. So is there nothing like that around here?
there have been a number of hobby shops that had some form of racetrack. I've lived in Lake and McHenry County my whole life. This has been a hobby of mine since I was about 10. Every place that I have ever been aware of in McHenry and Lake County that had some form of such facilities has closed. They've ceased operation. The hobby shop model has changed. It's just more online now, unfortunately. There's one in Kenosha that's just running on grass, on a grass field, and it's temporary. Every week they set up like PVC pipe to make their track, but I'm not aware of any in McHenry County, specifically that are commercial or just even like at the level that we would be.
Like I said, I don't want us competing with the private sector.
Yeah, no, I'm not aware of anything.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
Would this be something on the scale of like the track that used to be just across from the outdoor theater on Lincoln?
That was a go-kart.
That was go-kart.
That was go-kart.
Yeah, but
It's not
for
that
the track,
big.
would it be something like that?
Much smaller.
Handheld radio-controlled cars.
Oh, the radio control.
Radio
Okay,
control.
I didn't understand that.
They're,
Gotcha.
I don't know how big they get, Adam, these
Yeah.
days. Do they get like,
They're 2 feet long. They're
Yeah.
one-tenth the scale.
They're toy cars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I came in, that was closed 30 years ago. It was already closed.
I took that flight close to my backyard.
So I'll make a motion to just further continue, but wanted to give you guys an update.
Okay. Do we have a second? Well, I'll second the motion for additional research. Yes, to postpone it. So your motion, can you just clarify your motion, please?
My motion is to table it further until the next meeting. Hopefully I'll have more of an update then as well.
Okay, I will second that motion. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Next meeting it goes.
No.
Okay, 9.2. Need a motion for discussion and possible action of elected official salaries.
I'll make the motion to go through official salaries and discussion.
Anybody want to second
I'll
that?
second. John is like whispering over there.
What's that?
You were whispering, I couldn't hear you.
So in the packet, we're still, in the packet this week, or for this meeting, we updated, as the information's coming in, we've updated, to the best of our ability, the information that's available from the other townships as to what they're sharing with us regarding the salaries for 2021 through 2024. So we continue to update that sheet. I stuck a quick sheet in there regarding some information. So 3.5 years ago, well, not 3.5, 2.5 years ago, we left off at X salary. There was a negotiated deal, or that included the prior board. It said a 5% increase over 4 years, which comes down to 1.25%. And just for a placeholder, plug that into a sheet. So just rough dollars, and I got to check my math. I did it hastily one evening. But to go from our current salaries to a salary that would be equal to plus 1.25% increases in 2025, after the term is up, for whoever comes in, the cost of the township just in salaries is approximately $125,000. So
That's
just
the amount of increase in salaries, you said?
total salaries for the 4 elected officials and the trustees. They're in there too, back at the regular $100.
Now that's accounting for a full-time supervisor?
Yes, counts for a full-time food supervisor, a full-time assessor, and a full-time road commissioner.
So that's not the increase in cost, that's the total cost.
No, you have also, we need to look at benefits that they have. So I've got to gather those costs. I'm continuing to build on this.
I meant total salary as opposed to increase in salary.
Yeah, the total salary would be, no, wait.
It's total increase in salaries.
That's the total, so the total salaries for 2025 with the increase would be $270,000.
Yeah.
It sounds about right.
And we're currently at, I don't have a total of
Well, we know it's
Yeah.
terrible.
half of that. Roughly. But yeah, we continue to build on that information and insurance and everything else. Yeah.
Chairman Barlow,
Yes.
if I could, I went one step further because in the world that we live in today, to get a 1.25% raise, is it? It's like a pay cut every year. What I did was, and I provided a packet to you today that took, that has information on it. If you look at the very last sheet, it talks about the inflation rate for the last 2 years and the estimated inflation rate for the next 2 years, and that's from the Bureau of Labor and Statistics. And over that 4-year period, it's an average of 4.65%. So basically, you're taking a 3% cut every year. So I'm not sure it's practical to do that from a realistic standpoint. So to take your concept one step further, I took it and just put 3% in there, because that seems to be a reasonable thing these days, is a 3% increase based on what's going on in the economy and that, which seemed reasonable. And then I just expanded that over the 4-year period, actually the 4-year period for the, plus the next 4 years, if you were to set a flat rate for the next 4 years. But you can see the rates for all the elected officials carried out, and then at the end I put in, if you just took the last 4 years and divided them by 4, it gives you an average for a salary. Just to give you an idea, so that you have a ballpark idea of what's realistic in the real world, unless for some purpose, for some reason we decide we should just not at least keep up with inflation. Hopefully we're doing a good enough job that you think we're doing better than that. Yep. In addition to that, I provided an updated table showing the different highway commissioners, their salaries, their tax levy amounts, their budgets, their miles of road, the funds spent on roads. And then the last 2 columns add, one is what the highway commissioners paid per mile of road, and 2, what the highway commissioners paid based on the budget of that road district. And I just pointed out that that Mchenry Township is extremely low. So I just share that with you to try to help you, to give you good information as we move forward for what is basically the largest road district in the township as far as miles and maintenance of miles go.
You're basing that your present salary, though?
That actually is based off of, the present salary. You're absolutely right. Absolutely.
That's why the number is where it is. Okay.
Yeah, and now that I look at it, I have to double check that, because that doesn't make any sense when Nunda's not far behind us, and maybe it does work out that way, just 3%. So
yeah, looking at it,
it probably does work out that way.
Yeah,
so.
looking at it.
But in any case, I think the big key is look at, even take the salary that we're at, which basically they cut in half, and double it, and you'll see that we're pretty much below everybody else except for one other township. So, which that is definitely the township. Coral Township is definitely a part-time position. He does not work there full-time. Okay.
Yeah.
So hopefully that provides you some good information moving forward.
So now that we have this information in hand, I guess what I'm assuming we're going to continue is to
We can make some decisions tonight. Let's make some decisions, guys. Let's start with the trustees' pay before we start there. We'll go up to the clerk.
Yeah. I mean, when I pulled that data that I had the last time about the trustees, there's only one township in McHenry and Lake County that paid any more than basically a spiff or a stipend. And so I think the common thing there is some sort of per diem, per meeting, whatever. I feel like that's fair given the amount of work that we put in. I actually like Jim's number, taking into consideration a 3% merit increase, and in my private sector job,
What's it come to per meeting? How do you do
it
that?
depends on when you want to start the increase. I mean, right
We
now.
can't start it until
No, it's next term.
next
No,
term.
I'm saying like when you want, so if you started it next term, what I'm saying is, do you do a 3% increase every year from what it was when it stopped? So like 2021, if that's the case, then in 2025, right, it would be $13.50 a year divided by 12 meetings.
That's basically where they're at. They were at $125 a meeting, if I'm not mistaken.
It's $112.50.
Was it
So,
100? Okay.
I think, I feel like $125 a meeting is
Go ahead,
fair.
Jim.
The only thing I'd say is I'd go to the right column and say, you set a flat rate for the next 4 years, and you just make it
Correct.
a flat rate for the years. If you take the 114, it works out to be just over $115 a meeting.
Yeah,
So,
$117.
whatever, but anyway, that's what I was gonna say.
Can we agree on 125?
I think that's a fair number.
Mark?
Yes.
Let's do that.
And we obviously.
Let's get the easy stuff out of the way.
Yeah, we obviously, no benefits, no anything like that. We get reimbursed if we go to the conference, like normal stuff.
Sure,
like that.
yeah, that's all right.
Yeah.
Do we take a vote on that? Or do
There
we
needs to be a
continue?
motion, somebody needs to make a motion.
Okay, I make a motion that we adjust the clerk's pay to $125 per meeting.
Trustee.
Township trustees, I'm sorry, I apologize, $125.
The clerk might take issue with that.
I apologize.
I'll second the motion.
It's per day. If there's 2 meetings in the same day, it's still 125.
That's correct.
Correct, it doesn't change.
Well, I certainly, I'll just,
Well, go ahead.
as a comment, I certainly appreciate the thought and everything else. But you guys are beginning to learn a little bit about me.
We'll
I'd
get
like
to
to
it.
see the entire picture
We'll get
of
to
what
it.
everything's gonna look like and the total cost.
Well, that's where we're headed.
I know, but,
That's where we're headed.
so this is, what I don't wanna do is, if I give an affirmative vote, this gets locked in. What I wanna do is I wanna see the total picture, because there may have to be adjustments in all areas.
So maybe
There's an
can I play?
ordinance that has to be done.
Correct, correct.
It's an ordinance.
No,
so you don't have
so this
to
is a
vote.
discussion. So in other words, the motion that really needs to be amended is that we use these figures in the model that will in turn become the ordinance.
Okay, so we need to readjust the, we okay with what we did, or do we need to
So
adjust?
I think, is it that we need to agree that that's the amount we would like to put into the model for our portion?
Correct,
Yes.
that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Okay, so you just need to adjust your motion that
That was
we
the question.
are aligning on the amount for the trustee pay that will go into.
I adjust the motion to, we are aligning our number to $125 per meeting for future discussion if necessary.
Per diem.
Yeah,
per diem.
Per diem if necessary.
Yeah, I'll second your updated motion.
Doesn't mean we write a dictionary.
Gary, I think also just to your comment, in all fairness, the trustees are the only ones who are not in any way compensated for our time for these meetings. And so even if we weren't hypothetically going to change anything else, I still feel that it's appropriate.
Don't misconstrue what I said.
No, I know.
Having walked a mile in your shoes.
Yeah, I know. I'm
Yeah, you
just
did.
saying.
So, no, I know what's going on. It's just, I'm looking at it from a broader perspective. Is that, because ultimately, whatever we decide to model, in what turns out to be the final ordinance is, you're gonna have to agree on levying for it.
Sure, understandable.
But you already told
I
us.
think John's point though is we just keep tabling this every single meeting.
Yeah, right.
And
It's-
The
it's
more we
what
do
we're
this.
trying to resolve it.
Yeah.
I mean, you already told us that we're possibly gonna be at the $270,000 mark, based on your numbers, Gary.
Yes,
Okay, so that's what I'm basing
so,
just our decision on.
correct, understood. So we have a budget, for salaries and everything. But then how does that translate into an increase in the levy?
Well, I guess I'm trusting the number you gave us.
I know, but you removed a hunk of money out of the levy, and now you're trying to put it all back in at once. So,
Well, how do you want us to approach this thing, Gary? We're trying to get
Well,
to
when we went
resolve.
through-
I understand.
I'm just asking a question. I'm not trying to.
I'm okay with what we're doing here.
Okay.
All I'm just trying to tell you is that before we write an ordinance, we need to know what the number is.
Well, we start with 125 for
Correct.
trustees.
I have
Okay,
no
so-
issue with it.
So let's discuss the clerks next.
I think Tim's right, you put it in the model,
Yeah.
and then you get to the end.
Right,
and you
exactly. That's all I'm trying to do here. That's what
Okay.
we're trying to do. And so
So the motion's that there'd be $125 per diem, in the way I hear the motion, it's $125 per diem per meeting, for the trustees.
Per day, if there's like, today, for example, we had the Seno meeting and then
Yeah,
this
it's
meeting.
125.
That would be just
Let me
one.
clarify, you don't get paid for that meeting.
That's per
That's
diem.
by law.
Well, yeah, per diem is per day. I'm just saying in general.
If
we
you
had
sit
some
on that
other-
committee, you don't get paid, it's by law.
If we had some other.
Just
meeting,
wanna make
some-
that clear.
Okay, that meeting, that one is free for the state, for everybody
That-
else.
I can't pay you for that one, I would love to pay you for that one, but I can't pay you because of the
My
law.
point was merely if we had a separate meeting in some day for some reason.
Yes, understood, nice.
So
Manner is semantics.
next door is the clerk. I'd like the motion to discuss the clerks.
I will second your motion.
Quick question. Are you going to pay yourselves for the budgeting process? If you
It's
have
per
to have
meeting.
some
It's per-
meetings to set budgets.
Yes.
So it seems to me that you should be paid.
Sure,
for
they
the
would
time
be
that
they
paid
would
per,
be paid for that.
yeah, any public meeting that they attend.
Okay,
Yes.
all right,
They would
that's all.
get
I
per
just wanted to
diem.
clarify that.
And those are public meetings too, so I mean, it's
Yeah.
Right.
one and the same.
Yeah, and I have a question regarding that. It sounds like you're saying if you have two meetings in the same day, you still only get one
Correct.
fee.
Correct.
So, but it seems like there's almost as much effort going into having two meetings in one day. I mean, that there's, yeah, as much effort in that as there is in two meetings on two different days, but there you get more money, and it seems like you really reserve the money for the meetings.
Robert, to answer your question, our meetings only been lasting 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And
And I don't see that changing.
And for example, when we were doing the budget meetings, we tried to set the budget meetings right before our normal meeting, just so that it's easier
Yeah.
for all of us to attend.
Yeah.
So we
Well, if
typically
you're
try
happy
to
with
do
that, that's fine.
Okay.
I just remember what the meetings were like
Well,
a couple of years ago.
Yes, we do remember those.
All right, so John, I'll second your motion to talk about the clerk.
There you go. Where was the clerk salary
Well,
2 years ago?
You have a motion on the table for the trustees.
Oh, sorry.
Let's just call that one, so the $125 per diem, as discussed. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, so that's part of that. So you want a second motion under the discussion of elected official
For
salary?
the clerk.
For the clerks.
And I seconded his motion.
So what does the board see?
In discussion, well, I'd have some discussion first.
So who had made it, John?
Is it, yeah, is it,
Adam, you made the second?
I seconded, yes.
Okay, so discussion?
is the clerk, how many hours, is there any obligation on the hours the clerk works?
It all depends on how the board wants to structure the job.
Well, that's why
Meaning
we're
that
discussing.
the clerk's job could also not only do all the clerking duties, but could assist in the administration of the township outside of the clerking duties. And if that turns into 30 hours, 36 hours.
Well, how
a
would
week.
you like to see that? If you were supervisor, how would you?
If I was the supervisor in the world, or here, which I am, I think the clerk, the clerk duties are fine, that's the way most of them are structured. But at the same time, clerks also in other communities do other things. I don't have enough background to know exactly what it is. But I would say a good start is where we left off.
Okay, I'm just asking if you want to add to the job or function, I
I
should
don't
say.
think I can.
I'd say function.
I don't think I can legally add to the job to compel a clerk to do administrative work in the office.
Okay.
So then,
That's
given
outside the
that,
scope of her elected office.
So where was the clerk 4 years
His or
ago?
hers.
2 years ago, I should
so
say.
according to this, the clerk 4 years ago was at $14,759. And according to the mathematics of applying the 3% increase from 2021 till the next budget period, and then looking at what the average is to fix that over a 4-year period, it would be $17,373.96 a year instead of the $14,759.
17,003 what?
$17,373.96.
So do I.
Just make it
Yes, so just do it.
17,500.
What's it come to?
Yeah.
17,500.
What's it come to a week or,
A week, $336 a week. If you did it per month,
4375.
$14.58 a month.
so how would we structure it, Gary? Bi-weekly, monthly?
Well, currently
We
it's,
get paid by week.
Yeah, I'm just making sure.
It's the same way. It won't change.
Yeah, payment should be bi-weekly.
so what are your thoughts on that amount? That's applying the same methodology that we applied to the,
Again, like Gary said, let's plug it in there, and if it doesn't work, we'll have to adjust it later.
Can I be recognized?
Sure.
I'd like to hear the clerk's opinion on it. Does that sound like a reasonable number for the time that you spend on the ballpark where we should be? What's your opinion? You've been doing the job for 6 years now.
I believe it's a fair number.
Can I remind you to use the mic so that the clerk can hear you? I'm just kidding.
That's his humor.
That was good, I like that. All right, now that you did me, I think the clerk should get about 45,000. No, I'm just kidding. No, I think that's more than adequate for the job that's done. I've been doing this for 6 years. At the current rate, right now, it's about $10,000 a year, which was $5,000 less than the previous board. And I think that was very fair before at 15, so an increase of $2,000 I think is more than fair.
Okay. Any other discussion, or?
The only thing I want to add is the hours that are put in. If you only look at the hours that the clerk spends in the building, this is way more than it should be paid. You know, there's other things that are done constantly during the day. I go through my emails probably 20 times a day at least. Then there's special meetings, this stuff like that. Minutes, like today we had 2 meetings, so there's 2 minutes that you have to go over. There's a lot of time, and unfortunately, new clerks or new trustees coming in that don't understand how the minutes are supposed to be structured, and it just causes more time.
Well, that's a different
and effort
subject.
and stuff. Exactly, but in either case, 17.3 is more than adequate. I know the clerk in Avon County is paid $26,000 a year, and I almost laughed. I thought that was extremely overpaid. 17.3 is, I think, more than fair.
17.5, right?
I think we just made it an even 17.5. but
Whatever,
using your
it's
number.
more than fair.
And I'll make a motion, we set it at 17.5.
Second.
We got too many motions. All right,
Again, if it fits in the model when get to that point.
all right.
What's next, John?
What's it?
What's next, John?
Well, we should go on to the road commissioner next.
What about assessor? No?
Yeah, we did such a next time. You know, I wasn't even thinking about Mary, I apologize.
She's not here.
Yeah, but still, I don't think she needs to be here. Well, we could wait till she's here if you want.
No, it's up to you. I'll make a motion. We'll discuss the assessor next.
I'm looking. Where was Mary at prior to
You need a
the?
second?
I'll second it. He made the motion, I'll second it.
So prior to the board cuts, the assessor was at $76,822. If you extrapolate that one out with the same 3% methodology and you average for the next 4-year period, that number would go to $90,433.11. I mean, that's obviously a larger increase because you're dealing with just a larger amount of money.
Well, where are you getting to 90,000? Because I'm looking at Jim's sheet and he's up.
Yeah, look at the far right column. So what?
That's an
That's a
average of
28.
the 4 year.
That's just so you don't have to raise it
No,
each
okay,
year during the
okay,
next period.
I'm with
Yeah.
you, I'm with you. think she does a good job. What do you guys think?
I mean, that job is obviously very detailed and tough, and you have to have special.
You need to also, I'll just reiterate what was mentioned last time is that none of us may be here next time.
We understand.
We have to get elected.
So what do you suggest?
I'm just being, I'm
I
asking you to
understand that.
choose your words.
Okay.
I think
The assessor's office will be paid this amount.
Yes.
We don't know who's gonna be there. I don't know if I'll
No,
be here.
you're correct. Correct
I'm
in that.
just-
You're correct.
Just
You're correct.
semantics
No,
again.
you're right. You're correct.
that role is a specialized role with a specific set of knowledge, and we're in a position now where it's at. I can't remember the exact dollar amount that it's at currently, but where it's at currently.
What do you mean in the half price?
Yeah, not good.
Yeah.
For the amount of work that's done, that is not commensurate with the pay that she
Totally
received.
agree.
Or with
It's
the
at
pay that
45,000.
officer.
Yeah, it's at 45,000 as well.
So that is the role within the township that, if anything, sort of guarantees our existence by figuring out what the taxation.
The only thing
Going to be
I'd like to
for the
add to that, and I'm sorry I'm cutting you short, is that I do know Mary did, she appointed can't think of the right terminology now.
The deputy.
A deputy assessor.
Yeah.
And gave that person increased money as well as responsibility.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that affects the overall picture when it comes to her department.
Yeah.
May I
Cheers.
mention
I
something?
think there were actually two.
Regardless of whether she has a deputy or not, the position requires a certification, and you're dealing with a competitive environment. So in order to attract a qualified person, you have to pay enough
Can
money.
I add some?
Sure.
The deputy assessor has been certified. She went through the same certification.
Yeah, but
She's basically,
yeah, I'm sorry, I don't mean to backtalk you, but I'm just saying, but we're talking about her position, or I should say, the assessor's position itself. Still, you have to have a certified person for that, and you have a competitive
you
environment.
do, but what John's saying is here's another person sharing those responsibilities.
John, maybe.
That's what I'm saying. That's
Maybe
what I'm
where
saying.
you're going is, in the event that, okay, let me take a step back. Perhaps the assessor named a deputy assessor because that position was made part-time and the extra work was.
And that's exactly where I'm going.
And so if that position were to resume as full-time, then what would happen with the deputy assessor? Is that correct?
I guess Mary needs to answer that question.
That would be Mary's call.
And that's what I'm saying, that's Mary.
Department. Mary runs her department, and we don't micromanage that.
No, exactly.
But it would be something in the budget conversation that would need to be addressed.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, I'll make a motion that we make the tax assessors pay up to $90,000.
Second.
90,000 even?
Yep.
Yeah.
Again, these are all numbers we're gonna look at down the road when we do
Yeah.
the budget.
Just a starting point.
Yeah. Just trying to get to some type of agreement here, that's all.
Yeah, so you can.
Actually, since we already made a motion and seconded, we didn't vote on it yet. Can I amend?
Sure.
The 90,000 a year assumes that that position resumes as full-time, correct? Not as
Oh,
part-time?
correct, that's, yes. Good point.
I don't think we can tell an elected official how many hours they have to work.
But wasn't the salary cut because they said this is going from,
But they still would think, they wanted Mary still work full-time.
They cut the salary.
They cut the
wanted
salary,
to
not
cut
the hours.
salaries.
maybe I misunderstood that.
Yeah, they cut the salary, not the hours.
I think they cut the salaries so that people, they believed that
They wanted to drive people.
people wouldn't run for office again, and you would get people that wouldn't do their job, and as a result, the township would look very poorly, and then people would decide to get rid of the township.
Right,
Hopefully, fortunately, people care more about the township than they do about money.
Yeah.
So there's two
Discuss
left?
Commissioner next.
You want to make a
You
motion?
want to make a vote on the assessor?
Oh, I thought we did, okay.
All those in favor of modeling the $90,000 in a full-time position, say say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, hearing none, we'll use that number in the model.
I make a motion that we discuss the road commissioners' pay.
I will second.
Looking at the numbers that Jim provided, it looks like even if Jim goes to that number I'm looking at here, he's underpaid compared to some of the other Nunda and Ogden.
Based on the pay per mile, yeah, definitely.
Well, the pay per mile is based on 45,000, but I mean, you look at Nunda and you look at the salary there, and the salary of Conklin. Any
No,
opinions?
according to the sheet here, the highway commissioner's salary, if we applied that same 3% methodology, would be $101,744.
Correct.
That would make the highway commissioner the highest paid out of any township in McHenry.
He deserves it.
We have the most miles of anybody. in
Yes, we
McHenry.
do.
Correct.
Yes, you do.
Agreed.
And we have the best roads.
And how about the number of employees to be managed?
Right.
That's not on here. That's a bit layer.
How do you guys feel about 105?
I don't have that number off the top of my head.
I'm asking a question. I'm just.
Either that or like looking at the other townships, some other townships, let the individual use a township truck or pay for phone expense. I know some of this stuff is marked as insurance and a lot of the townships don't have anything marked as far as insurance. So I think for the two top elected officials, there will be other costs besides just the salary.
I agree.
So we just need to be.
Well, I threw out 105. Where do you want to go? I'm just.
Yeah. I think we've been kind of sticking with the 3% applied equally
Correct.
so that we can say it's fair across the board.
Right.
Can I add something?
Sure.
If you take into consideration what his degrees are, his engineering skills and stuff, I doubt that there's another road commissioner with those qualifications.
But at the same
would-
time, you can't assume that, and don't take this wrong, Jim.
No,
I mean,
I
you can't
understand.
assume
I
that
understand what
Jim
you're
will,
saying.
yeah, you can't assume that Jim will be here.
That's true.
That's true.
That's true.
I think my personal opinion, John, although I agree that that's a job that is worth the reward, I think for purpose of modeling, we should try to keep it consistent with the 3% methodology, just so it's fair to everybody across the board.
So you're saying ballpark of 102, not 105?
Yeah, I said 105, just to.
101,750 or whatever the even amount there is.
Okay, you rounded up for everybody else, but now you just.
That's why I went to
You're at
105.
101,740.
No, they rounded down for the assessor.
Guys, I'm just kidding, please.
I think we should, again,
102.
105. You're talking $20 a month. You're not talking big money.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
Thank you, Gary.
I stopped.
Is there any way to establish a requirement that the highway commissioner be a civil engineer?
No.
No,
No.
There isn't?
It's in the highway commissioner's handbook.
right.
You'd probably have to change township code.
You would
And-
have
and
to.
state
you would have to
constitution
do
and
highway
all
code,
that.
yeah.
There's 1,400 highway commissioners,
Yeah.
and there's probably 3 in the state that are engineers,
Huh.
or 1.
I was thinking that, like, maybe someplace like, well, yeah. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
All right, so we need to land on the amount for the model.
Yeah.
So John, what's your number?
105.
I'm at 105, but
Okay.
I'll second 105.
I'll agree with 105.
What do you-
10750, 10750.
So,
Jim, if you were a road commissioner, what do you think of the 105?
I think that I enjoy doing the job, and the work that I do, and the design work that I save. It's even much more than 100. But don't get me wrong.
No.
I am perfectly satisfied. I just like what I do. I get to teach a bunch of guys. We've done a lot more than we used to do, and it is just a lot of fun for me to teach young guys
how to do projects more than just mowing the grass
Yeah.
and spreading salt. It's about saving money for spreading salt and getting smarter and taking care of drainage issues and stuff. It's a lot of fun for me, so I'm not sure pay is all, it is important, don't get me wrong, but,
Be careful, Jim, we can lower it to 75.
and, well, whatever, you know what, you're still gonna see me. I just like doing, if I were fortunate enough to be reelected, that's what I would do. I mean, look what I get paid now. I do it because, it's a lot of fun for me. I like the work that I do.
Is there any way to institute a bonus system where if somebody, highway commissioner or otherwise,
They
does
came up
something that
last
saves
meeting.
the township a whole lot of money, that
Yeah.
becomes an incentive to keep on doing that?
I think it's too complicated, you know.
Yeah.
Well, we vote on it, all right? All those in
So-
favor, 105, correct?
And then back to full-time,
Correct.
considered
Yes.
full-time.
Yes.
Do we have a motion and a motion from
I make a
John?
motion to.
I'll
And
second.
second it? Okay. All those in favor of modeling the $105,000 in this, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Who wants to make the next?
I will make a motion that we discuss the annual pay of the township supervisor for the upcoming elected session
And discussion.
and discussion.
I think the first part of that is.
Second?
About second, Henry, is to keep the job part-time or full-time. And I'm gonna add to that, because I know, Gary knows how I feel about this.
Are you, John?
What's
Are you
that?
second?
Yes, sir, you do. My dad always taught me 2 heads are better than 1. So I would assume 3 heads are better than 2. We presently have 2 full-timers running the township now, the administrator and the parks guy. So I wouldn't be against making the supervisor's job full-time again, but it's, again, we have to look at the dollars down the road. I mean, what are you guys' opinion?
I agree. I think, listen, the township functioned for how many years before the board decided to just sabotage it, if you will, prior board. I mean, I would ask the supervisor, how much additional work is there beyond what would be considered a part-time job, and I'm sure I know the answer. I think, again, the more time that a supervisor has to give to the township, and for example, some of the things that might have suffered, us going out and seeking grants, us going out and doing some of the extra stuff, if there was more time, more of that stuff would happen.
The only thing I'd like to add to the discussion is that we did give the administrator more money because of what they did. I would expect if we do approve we haven't talked about dollar amount yet at all. Jerry, look at the department to see if we can make up that money elsewhere. Or save us money elsewhere. It's the only thing I can add to it. Go ahead, Jim.
I just would add, I think that when you take the number of employees that you would have there, and you consider the parks, and you consider the admin in the office, the work that they do, the assistants, then overseeing the budgeting part at least, or the checking part. You have a lot of employees, and it's my opinion, especially looking at going from a full-time supervisor to what, just from a dollars and cents, you can't work here full-time at that. I think that from a management standpoint, I think it is much better to have that person here. If that means that you cut some other employees and he picks up more work, that's what probably should happen. But I think that person that's responsible for that budget should be here full-time.
And then that's key, to be here full-time. I agree, totally.
Yeah. All right, so then as to the amount, the final pay as of 2021 for the township supervisor was $77,822. We applied the same 3% increase over that time period, and the methodology we used for the other roles, that would put the supervisor at $91,610.
I think we should go to 85,000.
What was that?
I'm just, I apologize, guys.
I say 92,000.
I'm okay with 92, 95, either way.
I agree with 92.
I can agree with 92. Now, again, we're gonna have to revisit this down the road.
Of course.
Can
This is
I,
just to populate the model.
Right.
Can I just make a suggestion that the numbers get double checked too? I put the numbers together and I'm notorious for making mistakes every once in a while. So.
Well, if something's wrong, Jim, we're gonna look at you.
That's right. So, I'm not going to try fixing to get that to 125 for the highway commissioner. There you go. No, but seriously, just you just need to go through the numbers. So.
And Gary, the same
And I can
question
provide
to
that
you.
spreadsheet.
Do you think the supervisor's job is okay at 92, or what's your opinion?
I'm gonna give an answer similar to what Jim says, is that, first of all, I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't like what I'm doing. And I don't like to use this, but the personal growth in learning about, one, our government, how it works, helping people. 92,000 is a fair salary if they're here full-time. You mentioned obligations, not only 8 to 5 here, but all the meetings that are conducted to go get grants is done during the day, during business hours, or you have to go in the evenings to other meetings and be participants in other committees that are unrelated to the township's direct day-to-day operation, but to get to the money. You have to become, it's a fair salary. It's fair, absolutely.
Make a motion to adjust the supervisor's pay to 92,000.
I'll second.
For the,
For modeling purposes.
Yeah, right, for the model.
And
Correct.
make it a full-time position.
Correct, full-time position, for sure.
All those in favor of using 92,000 as the model number, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? One extension.
Abstain.
I'm gonna abstain. I'm not gonna
That's your
vote on my own.
opinion, yeah.
So that completes the review of all of the elected official salaries that we've got
See,
data
that we
for.
finished, didn't we, Harry?
That's great.
So now, the next step, if someone wants to check the numbers, I'm happy to take the numbers back and check them and just run
Well,
them.
we're gonna double check them down the road
Yeah.
anyways. I mean, we have to put them in the model.
Yep, we'll put that together for the next meeting.
No, I don't. No, it's a budget hearing question, never mind.
Yeah, that's a budget deal. So, so we finished with old business. The next items up are proposed agenda items. So, 9.1 comes back if there's an update, and you'll notify me, correct?
Yep.
9.2 will come back, we'll update the spreadsheet. And then I'd like to add, I'd like to invite the Beta Omicron Masters of McHenry County. It's a sorority that does Blue Star Banner to come in and refresh us on Blue Star banners. They want to start that back up. It's really relative to no cost to the township, so I think that's something we should get involved in again. Not again, but we need to promote it to find families that are eligible for that. And then the other thing that we need to put on there under new business is review the investment policy update.
Is there anything we need to do, and maybe if you want, I can save this for my board member comment, but it's been a while since we've looked at any of the park equipment conversation.
I can give you an update out here in a few seconds.
Okay.
Can you email me exactly how you want those worded?
Yeah, I can do that.
Want to add anything about the pit?
No,
Pit.
your studies aren't done yet, so there's no reason to go there. Don't take that wrong, Robert, there's still, the city council's not even gonna vote on it this time. For that same reason.
Yeah, I know that they're meeting on it the 17th.
Monday. They're meeting on Monday, and actually there's going to be no action in that.
Exactly, there's gonna be no action at all.
Because the study's not done until the 23rd.
Who is doing the study anyway?
There's an independent, so they've hired somebody to do the
You don't know
study.
who it is, though?
No, I don't know a name. I didn't see that. you know, obviously you can tell we're all watching it.
Right. We see the signs everywhere.
I might submit my own report.
There you go. Okay, supervisor report, let's jump in. First thing off the get-go there is, first thing I'll talk about is, I don't know, there was Moose Fest, and we allowed the moose to shoot off fireworks safely from our field away from the attendees. Then we got a letter from them, if you guys want to read the letter from the moose, thanking us for working with them on that. Just so you're aware, we were fully identified and they were insured for it. So if anything happened, we were taken care of. We didn't have to worry about that. But that's the letter from the moose. I don't know, do you have any direct questions regarding anything you saw in my report? Okay. The one thing is that there's a new person down at Catholic Charities on Meals on Wheels, Patrick Meady. So I met him the other day. I was down there, I don't know if you were aware, but we held an open house along with Senior Services, where it was targeted for the county board members and committee members and Senior Services to come in and learn how the different organizations partner together, try to avoid duplication, and educate how we do things and who our clients are and things like that. So there was a nice little round table with about 12 to 15 people down there, and we got an opportunity to share what we do there.
By chance, you didn't bring up the parking situation, did you?
Yeah, they are, on the weekends, they are parking on our side now, or on the park side. You asked about the park equipment. We're having problems getting the attention of folks because they're so busy. They're running 8 to 9 months out. Eric's currently out of town on a mission to return one of our soldiers home. So he'll have something for me next week.
Okay.
But yeah, he's on it. He's staying on it. I asked him before he left. So I don't know what else you guys have in reference to that.
Just, I think based on the time frame, like we would need to be making some sort of action in the next few months here if we hope for that to be done even next summer.
What's probably going to happen is this will get moved till next summer.
Yeah.
So we'd carry the money over that we allocated so we don't have to look for new funding. We'll just carry it over. What?
No.
You had something?
No sense.
So, just for those here, and if you're not aware, that park equipment down by the ball fields has aged out. It's 25 or 30 years old. We continue to remove pieces of it for safety reasons.
Yeah.
So we're out looking for, and gonna write an RFI. We're trying to identify who the folks are in our area that are park equipment specialists that do that. We've already conferred with other municipalities who have recently put up new park equipment. So we're doing our homework and our due diligence to make sure that we do it cost effectively and that it's going to last for a long time. Okay, with that being said, I'll move on to the assessor's report. I did not see one from her.
We did not have one tonight.
Okay, no report from the assessor.
No report.
And then the highway commissioners.
He's here.
Yeah. And I had his, and I don't know where it is. Mr. Condon, can you wait till I recognize you to speak? That's good.
The real boss already.
Let it rip, Jim.
And I only do that because the previous board was very particular about it. Boy, they prior to the previous board, we were a very comfortable board and we could all talk.
Yeah,
and they insisted that the highway commissioner be recognized, otherwise he had to sit here and shut up. So that's why, just being respectful, there's nothing more than trying to be respectful. So,
understood.
A couple of things, the change in the report, if you've read it, the road program, we had a pre-construction meeting set for yesterday. We've actually pushed that off. We're going to hold off a little bit because we don't want to start on some re-ditching that we have to do until we get closer to the fall, where then we can seed it and the grass will grow, you know, the drought that we're going through. So that's being pushed back a little bit, but it should be no big deal. Our reclamite treatment for this year is actually, we confirmed today, scheduled to start next week. For those of you who don't know what reclamite is, it's a treatment to the pavement to get it to last, instead of lasting 12 to 15 years, to get it to last 20 years or more. So, something that was mentioned earlier, which I checked into today, there's a possibility that the bridge might be open tomorrow, I'm told, from the county. So that's pretty exciting.
I've been mom's to work.
Yeah.
Be the first one with the flag.
The last thing is the decennial committee, decennial or however you say it. I've selected, we're doing it separately just for ease. We have different things, we do different things than you. And so we just try to keep it separate. But I have 3 residents that I'll just mention to you. One is Don Tunyon of William Tunyon & Sons, a longtime resident, a resident of Mchenry, and a person who's heavily involved in community. If you know the city of Mchenry, he's involved heavily there. So that's one of the reasons why we want him. 2, he's a businessman. 3, every time I turn around, he's questioning me about the township. Okay? So he's one of those that's not going to be, Jim, whatever Jim says. He's going to say, Jim, what about this? What about that? So the second one is Steve Friend. He lives in Johnsburg. He's another businessman, and he is twice as bad as Don Tunyon as far as asking me about the township and are we doing the right thing. So I think the challenge in that is making sure that I'm having people that are going to question what we're really doing and not just patting us on the back. Another businessman, he's been in the area for a long time and owns a carpentry business, very successful and a hard worker. The last one is Joe Meyer, who's a resident actually in the township and is very familiar with the city or the township, Johnsburg, McHenry, basically the whole county, and is heavily involved with community service, especially through the baseball program at the VFW. And another guy that I think he'll be honest and ask the tough questions, want to know, and is involved in business. So anyway, those are the 3 that we have on our committee. If you're interested at all, that's why I selected them. And hopefully we'll come up with a good report, hopefully some good ideas, and point out our strong points, look at our weak points, and fix them, and move on. So that's it. That's all that I have, and I'm glad to answer any questions you have.
I'm going to pull a no-no. I'm going to go back to the supervisor's report. I have one last piece of business. Is the food pantry. The grant for $35,000 was fully approved all the way up through the federal government. So, and I have in my possession approximately $27,000 in bills that we'll be submitting for reimbursement here shortly. So, very successful project. It's good looking. One of the folks from the county came down today and I met her to walk her through, met the 3 leaders of the food pantry. So the CDBG group at the county knows how the money is being spent and they have pictures, they took pictures and everything. So I just want to really commend the Fish Food Pantry for an excellent project, and I'm glad that we were able to find a little bit of money for them to do that. That's it. And go ahead.
I want to go back to the clerk's salary. No, I'm just
Okay.
Motion for adjournment.
There's 14 is executive session. I don't believe there's any reason to go into executive session this time. And 15 is board member comments.
I have a couple, if you don't mind. Going back a couple of meetings ago, we did discuss the pickle courts. Yesterday I met with Lisa Geisler, because I happened to be at the senior center playing harmonica for Mark. And Lisa was in the class, and I asked her about it, and what we discussed was possibly doing it in this room, and the day we discussed was Monday afternoons. I talked to the administrator, and she was going to look at the Mondays that are available, and it's if possible, Smart Mart will give me whatever courts we need here. We can divide the room in half. And we probably get 3 or 4 pickle courts in here easily.
It's wiffle balls.
It's wiffle balls.
It's not tennis balls.
Yeah, it's wiffle balls if you're
I had the
concerned.
same thing going on in my head.
It's wiffle balls, so it's not gonna damage the lights or anything. They are wiffle balls.
So you want to do it during the day, you're saying?
Lisa, we're gonna play with, not play, we'll work on establishing it on Monday afternoons.
Yeah. Do you think there would be any validity to maybe even doing it in the evenings for people that are working during the day that would be interested?
Possibly, but my thinking, let's see how it works. Maybe we do break lights and we don't want to do it in here, you know?
You're likely to break less lights during the day with the day crew than the night crew.
Possibly. But that's where we stand with the pickleball courts. The other thing was, I noticed when I was going through the bills, we have a brand new flag pole out there.
Yep.
And that's,
That
money well
flagpole,
spent.
that flagpole came down in the storm, and actually, we were lucky that we didn't have a township employee sitting in his car at the time. That fell on his car, so we were able to assist the employee with car repairs and also get a new flagpole. But that happened in the wonderful storm that we had.
Isn't it true?
Yeah, it's true. Well, yes and no. It was less expensive to go through us and pay for it than it was to claim it on our insurance.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all I have for.
Yeah, I got into it with her and I said, you know, you're lucky that you don't have an employee with an issue. She goes, it was an act of God.
I do have one comment.
Sure.
I don't know if anybody else received this email, but I received an email to my trustee email from a John Split.
Yeah.
And so to echo Mr. Beltran, I was talking about the email from this constituent. Basically, it's a short email, I'll just read it. They basically said, please do everything we can to stop the gravel pit. There's a well supposed to this email that is adjacent to the site that is in some already manner been contaminated. Says Mchenry has a major well within a couple blocks of that and they don't seem very concerned. This person lives just off of North around Long Lane. They're very concerned about the effects. So I've actually gotten a couple emails someone reached out to me even on the Facebook
Yeah, I get 4
group. But it's beyond me if this is something we want to take a position on or not, but I think pending the results of that study, it's definitely something worthwhile to maybe take a position on.
It depends whose voice you listen to. I mean, I'm sure you follow Facebook just like I do. Wayne is on the other end of that cycle.
Yeah.
So again, without any more information, I don't know if we could take a position until we know what we're talking about, unless Carl can add to the discussion.
He was hoping he could get out of here without being asked.
Yeah, I know.
Can you share the county's position at the moment?
If it goes to the county, it's a pit. Plain and simple.
There you go.
If the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, the zoning board has nothing they can do but to pass it. We would have to pass it. If we fail to, we will get sued, and we have been sued before for doing the exact same thing. And if we get sued and we have to pay out, that's your money that's being paid to the lawyers.
But don't you have to do a zoning variance in order for them to do
I said, if the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed and there's no variance and zoning approves it, we can't do nothing about it.
If there's no variance, but it would require a variance, wouldn't it?
It has not gone to the planning and development.
Right.
The only thing, I think within the city of McHenry, it does have to, like you said, there is a variance. But I've not studied the county's comprehensive plan to determine whether or not that is a pit.
Yeah, well,
And
it's zoned agriculture now.
And the city of McHenry has far greater restrictions and has more ability to control what a pit can and can't do than what the county can. Our hands will be tied.
Okay, so I have to ask the question, what is the motivation for the pit operator to go to the city rather than the county if it would be easier to go through the county?
I do not know what Mr. Pease is up to.
Yeah.
He's funding, never mind.
Can I ask a couple, just make a couple of statements? You know, we hear, nobody ever wants it in their backyard. Let's be honest, we don't want it in our backyard, and I can understand the people that are opposed to it. I also want to look at a greater scale, which in government you have to look at the bigger picture a lot of times, even though the local area, it may not be perfect for them. So there's a benefit. McHenry County needs gravel. Gravel pits are running out, whether you believe it or not, and we need to generate gravel pits, number one. Number two, you say the county, they can go to the county, or they can stay in the city of McHenry, they go to the county. Guess who's right next door? Lakemore. And they can annex to Lakemore. And do you think that Lakemore's not just going to say okay to expanding the pit they already have to the west? So it's the reality is it's going to probably be a pit. The third thing I would ask you is, in McHenry County, all the gravel pits that we've had, how many contaminated wells do we have? I'm somewhat familiar with it, but regardless, I don't think that it's been a huge issue. They've done a very good job of looking at it. How many, based on how many gravel pits, let me finish.
Okay.
Based on how many gravel pits we had in McHenry County, how much has the water table changed in those areas of those gravel pits? I don't know that it's become an issue to date with all the gravel pits that we've had. Lastly, the point that I would make is the particular person that is doing the gravel pit is actually also a developer. And if you follow his path, he takes the gravel pit when it's done and actually turns it into something. He's got a subdivision right across the road from the Conservation District up north here. He's got gravel pits in Wisconsin that have residential subdivisions around the gravel pit when he's done. So he takes the gravel pit and makes it into something. Now we hear all the time about the gravel pits in Crystal Lake and how beautiful that one gravel pit is. If you drive by those gravel pits, how good do they really look? They have a nice park right in one area, but otherwise it's straight up and down. He doesn't do that. He does a nice job. So I just want to present the other side of the coin. I'm not saying there's a right or a wrong, but it's easy to be, and people have a right to be concerned, but we also have to realize none of us want it in our backyard, but we have to face the facts of what reality is. I think a lot of concerns haven't happened throughout McHenry County so far, but I'm not an expert on it. I just look at it from that point of view. So I wouldn't, that's my 2 cents. So.
Well, thank you, Mr. Condon.
Yeah. My primary concern is that the people most impacted are the ones who don't have a voice in the city council.
And my response would be to say that the city of McHenry has said, do it in the county and have less, or bring it into the city of McHenry and we have more controls, and guess what, we're listening to you and we're making it better for you than the county will do.
Yeah, they could set the setbacks, the whole 9 yards. The city's going to control more than the county does. They will.
You would want the city of McHenry to own it.
Correct.
Then to leave it as is.
It's sad but true. It's going to be a pit. It's just not who's going to run it or who's going to control it.
Yeah, I'm going to go back and for the 3rd time and 4th time, if you don't mind, Danielle. I would be remiss. I set this on your tables before the meeting. This was an article that was published in the Northwest Herald regarding a program that our trustee Mark Yeager had started at the Senior Center regarding harmonica class, which is also a therapy for breathing. I don't know, Mark, if you want to explain so Mr. Kaminsky can hear about it, and also Judith and
well, John's in the class.
Oh, that's right. You're one of the star students, I hear.
Yes, she is.
Well, I'm doing better too.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly. Well, go ahead, Mark. Give us a round of it.
Playing harmonica is my passion. I play with blues bands, country bands, rock bands, in front of big crowds. So what I'm doing is teaching people with respiratory issues, COPD, low blood oxygen, congestive heart failure, how to use the harmonica to get more oxygen into their system. There's these tubes that people blow into to increase their lungs, but they're boring and they lose interest in about 2 minutes. With the harmonica, people are playing along with the radio when they're not there. They're playing, we're playing together for that hour, and we're getting good success. People are having fun, and nobody's bored. And
So that means I can drop your name at the county health, let them know that maybe you might like to start a program out there?
Well, I'm a full-time sign maker.
Right.
So I run a business with employees who I gotta make payroll for, so my time is valuable. So I'm not gonna just start volunteering to go to places, but they're more than welcome to come by on Wednesday at 2 o'clock.
No problem.
For instance, I'll just give you a demo of what we're doing.
I knew this was coming.
Sorry, I apologize.
Here comes
This
the
is a
train.
record length meeting, by the way.
Here comes the train.
Okay, so I'm teaching them the train. So that's a basic train. So that has in, it has out. It can get the oxygen moving through your lungs. And I'm teaching them how to find scales, how to play country, how to play blues on the harmonica.
Hats off to you. Excellent
No,
job.
it's great. It's a great class. It's a great
Yeah, it's the only instrument that you blow in and draw in, blow out and draw in. It's the only instrument, and it's the closest thing to the human voice.
And my last violation of the agenda, going back to the supervisor, is I'm passing out.
It's a great class. I go to it. I mean, it's
The
such
internet
Judy. I mean, it's
policy
fun.
and
It's
social
fun.
media
I was
policy.
quite serious about dropping
I just
it
want to
down.
make sure that
It's fun. It's fun.
We have our Tuesday.
everybody
night meeting.
is cognizant of what they're posting. Be careful. You should probably separate your elected professional life from your private life. If you get into a conversation with somebody on your private page regarding township business, that could possibly become foiable, and then you have people rooting through your personal stuff and everything. So I'm just putting it out there as a warning, and there's more to come on the topic.
Did something happen that is necessitating a conversation recently, or? when you say-
We're educating ourselves more and more as we want to do more and more with social media.
Yeah.
We're trying to understand all the potential pitfalls out there.
TOI had a very good seminar at their conference last year on social media.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, the laws
the
change.
message was basically, don't.
That's what they said.
I feel like schools don't a lot of stuff.
Can I make one
County's the same way.
Yes.
one comment, which is, I contacted Jim Condon recently about a couple of issues on our road, and he addressed them and took care of everything for us. So, thank you.
Absolutely.
That's why I make the big lots.
What's that?
That's why he's going to get the big bucks. That's why he's going to get the big bucks.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the longest meeting in a while.
Yeah, make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
You went the same length that Richmond did last night.
Did I?
Two and a half years ago, it would have been
Much
another 2
longer.
hours.
We can't always just tape